You cannot take a one size fits all approach to parenting anymore. Those days are long gone. Those are the days of Grandpa Joe. Grandpa Joe who had 3 pairs of pants for 40 years. He had one job for his entire life. He had one joke that he would dust off and show you every once in a while. And you knew the joke was coming because you saw his one face that he had. You hear the one about that? Yeah, we heard it, Grandpa, a zillion times. Like, those days are done. We have endless opportunities. Like, you take out your phone, you can watch a zillion videos. We have endless customization. You can customize your algorithm. You can customize your meal at a fast food restaurant. Anything is customizable, right? So this absolutely transfers into parenting. I hope you really understand that. People used to be, even from just a decade ago, were of the mind that if I just find that one psychologist who can tell me how to raise my children's, how to raise little Timmy and little Sally, it doesn't work like that anymore. There's no one guru. There's no one idea. This is the era of adaptation. If you learn the meta skill of being an adaptable person, you'll be all right. You'll figure it out. You'll learn who your kids are and what their needs are, and you will help them to be thriving entities in an otherwise conflicted society, if you haven't noticed. And a huge part of this is because, our school systems are still functioning under the auspice that, all humans are exactly the same. Totally the worst assumption ever, right? Hypothesis. Everybody's exactly the same and needs the same education. Sit down in the same desk and listen to the same teacher, blathering on endlessly. There are some kids that thrive in a school setting. None of those kids are little boys, by the way. Little boys need to run around and wrestle. That's totally illegal in a school, in math class. But that's all they want to do, right? So everything that is from the old world, where we came from, is about trying to squeeze people into a box. This was the same with religion. It was the same with education, same with the financial system. There's one way. And it just, everybody felt like a slave, but they were okay with it because they didn't know that there were any other options. But in this era, there are so many options for every single thing we do. It's exhausting in a sense, but in another sense, it's there for us to actually figure out, what do we want, right? And so I know so many dads they feel like total failures, like total losers. And it's because they haven't figured out who they want to be. They haven't decided what is the game that they're playing as a father and as a husband. So they just go based on their feelings, which is the worst way to make any decision in life. And so here's where we're left in this day, okay? I want to help you to understand the opportunities that are at our disposal here. If you learn how to be adaptable, and if you spend time with your kids, you can learn what motivates them. You can learn what scares them. You can learn their likes and their dislikes. You can learn their hopes and their dreams and their greatest fears. And when you see them next to each other, you'll realize this is a completely different cocktail of emotions and thoughts and of desires. They're completely different people. So how could I ever try to have a blanket approach to raising them? It's not fair. You wouldn't do that with your friends. Each type of friends, like you have your work friends, probably not going to make as many fart jokes or other kind of not appropriate jokes, depending on the workplace, I guess. Maybe if you're a farmer, it doesn't matter. I don't know. But, there's your serious friends. There's, if you're in a religion, your religious friends, and then your other friends, and you're kind of you're the same you, but you adapt to your environment. And I would really posit that the best way to really take care of your kids is to understand them and to give them a customizable job. And I want to take health. Health is always such a great example that there are all these studies, and you see these the Hubermans of the world that are trying to help us weed through all of this information, all of this data that's is coffee good for you? Yes or no? Depends who you ask. And so you find, this study says 1 cup of coffee will make your soul die and all of your family is going to end up in prison. This other study says that if you don't have at least 5 cups of coffee every hour, you're going to die. So you better, right? Sponsored by, Nescafe. You never know, right? But what it turns out to be the case is that everybody's a little different. Our genetic makeups are a little bit different. And if you're living by the old paradigms of health and nutrition and you ask your doctor, hey doc, is coffee good for you? And he gives you an answer, run. Because he's living in the old world. In this modern era, there are actually blood tests that can tell you very accurately what coffee does to you based on your genetics, based on, the state of your body, because maybe your body likes coffee sometimes, but not presently because you're suffering from some symptom, right? So you can do all this blood work that really captures like what food is good for you. Some people actually don't process meat nearly as well as other people who their bodies really love meat. Go figure. This raging debate of vegetarianism versus carnivore, it kind of depends. Because some people will get really, really sick if they were one or the other. And so they need to learn what's good for them. Now, let's take that back to parenting. When you have kids and they're sad, let's say you have one kid who's really depressed, you cannot go into it with, I had a conversation like this with one kid, and now I'm just going to apply the same conversation, same tactics with this other kid. You can't do that. And here's the skill that you can actually apply is in curiosity. The idea of being curious about what's going on in this kid's life will save you, because then you don't have the answer, you have curiosity. And of course you have wisdom, your life experience, that'll absolutely come into play. I tried to speak through that sentence while burping at the same time. That'll come into play for sure. But what's super important is that the kid knows that you care. And you can't really care about them if you're making assumptions. You have to be curious. If you're curious about your kid and you're adaptable, you're willing to kind of be what that situation needs you to be, those two things, curiosity plus adaptability, holy moly, those are two hard words, will result in you figuring it out. And you can go about it in a scientific approach where you read a bunch of books and try to problem solve that way. You can pray, you can work together. There's a lot of different ways to solve it. But that's not the point, is did I succeed by solving their problem for them? The point is showing them that you care and investing in them. Because when they are older, they will have learned this skill to learn what is going on inside of me and how do I solve this. And that's extremely powerful. You're teaching them how to live in this world in a very effective way. So, all this is to say that I know that, there's a lot of pressure on parents these days, but most of it is very unnatural, and it's outside forces trying to tell us that this job is harder than it really is. The hardest part is just unlearning all the bad habits that you inherited from the old world. This is a new world. And the kids that we are giving birth to and raising in this era need us to raise them for the world that is and the world that will be. And that is a world where they need to be adaptable, a world where they need to be curious. Because you can see in this society, the kids who are struggling the most are the ones who believe in black and white in a time of endless diffusion and options and opportunities. When there's every granular version of color out there to be chosen and people are still seeing through black and white, you're missing out on the whole point. So we can model this by being very curious about them and being adaptable to this each and every scenario. And it's exactly what our kids need from us. I hope this was helpful. This is a bit of a rant, but it was a good one. Peace.